This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
Good morning and welcome to INC Radio South Central States. We are here live today in studio finally. I think it's been, 3 weeks since we were together.
Yeah.
We just want to welcome everyone for joining us this morning. And today we are going to talk about whether or not you really need to go to college. And so we do have a guest here with us today. Guest, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Justin Manahan, and I'm from Fort Worth.
So we're all local today. We don't have anyone from far away.
Yep.
So before we get started, we will go ahead and put into our chat our question of the day, which is, what was your main course of study, whether college or not? So, because we know how some people, sometimes they went to college and maybe didn't finish, but what was it that they wanted to pursue
Even
with
if you
education?
were like military and whatnot, what was your main course of study?
Yes. So let's go ahead and start with our topic because they've cut our segment down to 30 minutes. So we just got to start talking right away.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So first of all, Justin, did you go to college? If so, what did you do? Let us know.
Yeah, so I went to college straight out of high school, and I went into electrical engineering, and then after like a year and a half, I was like, nah. And then I switched over to architecture, and then I ended up in architectural engineering, which has more to do with like construction services and like structural stuff like that.
So was that your choice, or was that something that your parents maybe kind of suggested?
The electrical one was more so my family just like not pressuring me, but like encouraging me to like take up that field of work. But at the end, it was more so like what I wanted, the architectural part of it. So yeah.
I went the same route, electrical engineering at first, and that was like what my parents encouraged me to do. And like, I don't understand electricity. That's what it came down to. It felt like the electricians who were in my class were the only ones that knew what was up.
See, I think I was different because my parents wanted me to be a doctor, and I knew I could have done it, but I wanted to be a lawyer. And because at the time when I was growing up, law wasn't supposedly a good profession to be in. You know, they were threatening me like, if you put somebody in jail, they're going to come after you. And they were kind of threatening me that way. And so they dissuade me from going into law. And so because, when a kid doesn't get their way, then they tend to, well, if I can't go to law, then I'm not going to medicine either. So then I ended up, I actually took a few years off after high school just to work and travel places. And then what I would do is get a job, and then I would quit when I had enough money, then I would travel. But then after a while, I decided, you know what, I really do want to go to school just to have that college degree. And so when I went to college, it was more of my choice. And I think I was more mature that I actually took college seriously.
When I was in high school, they really were pushing college on us. They made us think like, oh, if you don't go to college, you're going to be a bum begging for money. And, there is some truth to that because a lot of employers seem to have switched over to having that as a minimum requirement, even though a lot of what you do in a job does not really relate to the things that you learned in college. So I'm just curious, like generationally, because I know for my generation, it was go to college, like no guidance, no like try to connect dots. It was go to college. What was it like for you? What were they saying for your generation?
So for me, it was the same thing, but it was worse because when we're driving around the streets of our city, and they saw bums on the ground, they said, see, that's what's going to happen to you if you don't go to school. That was the threat that they gave us.
Now, did you go to community college first?
No, I that was an option, but ultimately my parents were just like, no, just go straight to uni. And yeah, from there on I just went. But also, speaking about like in high school, like how they would put college, it was actually like you had a guidance counselor from the college that you were like looking at, and then like they would allow you to even skip class to like talk to them. It was like they're like, oh, you need to talk to your like university guidance counselor. Okay, go ahead, just you leave.
Okay, so you said you went straight to university. Was that because you said your parents said so? Now, if this is too personal, you don't have to answer. Were you on any type of scholarship? Did they pay for your college? Are you in debt now?
Oh yeah. So that was also part of the reason why, because at first I didn't get any scholarship, but towards the start of like the enrollment, they ended up for like half of a semester or something. I was just like, or I mean, not half of a semester, like it equated to around like 2 years total, but still I would have to pay like more than half, like throughout my college, or throughout my college, and what's it called? Um, but yeah, that was a bigger driving factor, but also it's just more so my parents are just like, go, you have to go. Like they gave you a scholarship.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but did you have to take out student loans to go to college?
Fortunately, no, but I do. What's it called? I did have to like ask, or not ask, but like ask my parents around a lot for like money to pay, and I ended up having to like work at the same time sometimes. So yeah, to like try and help.
Yeah, that was the same for me. I worked part time while in school, and then it got to where I also had to get a part time job. But then I also did have to ask them for help at some point. So kind of a mix.
Well, that's kind of nice. I had to work 2 jobs while I was in college. No, because I mean, I understand there was 6 of us kids, and even though I was the only one in school, the agreement, well, it wasn't really an agreement, but the message I got was, if you go to college in Sacramento, we will pay for your college. And I refused to stay in Sacramento, and so I went down to Southern California. And because I decided to go on my own, then that's when they said, okay, well, then you have to pay for your own school. So I paid for my own school. I had to work a job. I had to do all that stuff. So that was why I was just asking about the whole loan thing. But before we continue, let's go ahead and start with our first thinking cap question.
All right. So be sure to drop your answers into the chat. You just have to drop in the letter. Which of the following is not an Ivy League school? Is it Harvard? Is it A, Harvard, B, Yale, C, Columbia, or D, Stanford? One of those is not Ivy League. And I'll just go ahead and read the comments while we put in their answers. So we did get a few responses as far as like courses of study. So we have Don down there in Louisiana who attended college for culinary school. We still got to interview him about that, because I think
maybe he has to feed us.
Yeah, there we go.
To bring some food first.
And we also have Nala from Oklahoma, computer science for undergrad, systems engineering for a master's degree. I commend you on that, because once I finished my bachelor's degree, I was like, I am done school.
Yeah,
I am
no,
never going back again. Forget it. Let's see. We also had some comments about make sure you don't go into debt when you go to college as much as possible.
See, and I agree with him, because like I said, because I had to work a job, even though I got my college was literally paid off from all the scholarships and the grants that I got, but living away from your parents, then now you had to pay for housing, had to buy a car. And so I did get a student loan. I'm still paying it off, but that was a choice I decided to make, because I wanted to experience what life was like outside of home. And I think, without getting married, that's the only way you could technically leave your house, is by going to school.
And I think me and Justin, we stayed at home all throughout college, and that really saved a lot of money for my end. I also went to junior college, so Just to put in perspective, I do work for a major bank, working with data. So yeah, just because you didn't go to a 4-year school right off the bat doesn't mean you're not going to be able to find a job. Especially in some fields, it matters more like your experience, like what can you build up on your resume.
Exactly. And that's what we're here, because we just want to show that there are different options, because I know a lot of people says, hey, you have to go to college no matter what. But I do have friends who are successful, especially like real estate agents. They don't need a college degree. They have to have their license and everything, but yet they do really well because they work hard.
And when I was a teacher, I told my kids about vocational degrees, and I see some in the chat mentioning that, because a lot of these kids, they felt like that college was the only option, and I said, no, you can actually go to community college. You can go pick up a certification. You just have to go to school for a few months, and then you can go get a job right away. And for them, that was something that made sense. It's like, okay, I can connect the dots. I get this certification. It translates directly into this job. It doesn't take a whole lot of time or money. And I did actually run into some of my students after they graduated who told me that was the best advice that I ever gave them, because they didn't even know that was an option. And they were doing well for themselves. Like, they were getting married, they're, owning their own houses and whatnot. So it is absolutely a viable option. And they're finding out too that so many kids went to college and not enough picked up experience, that there's a lot of jobs that are lacking people who have that practical type of vocational degree. Yeah. And so they're actually in high demand. Like, you can make really, really good money working as, especially here in Texas, like a air conditioning tech.
Yeah. And as I work more, I find more people that, like, they didn't get degrees. They just got a bunch of like licenses and like certifications, and they're like doing pretty well. And a lot of entry level jobs actually that I saw, they need like 2 years of experience, even though they're like entry level. I'm just like, how am I gonna get that?
Exactly. And I have experienced it where I've seen people out of college can't get jobs. It doesn't matter that they had that degree. They can't get a job because they had no experience. Exactly. All they did was focus on their education.
Well, and like, because they pushed everybody. So the job market is just flooded with people with degrees. So you have to find a way to make yourself stand out. I mean, for me, like, I have my son who's growing up, and I'm thinking, like, after high school, once I have an idea of like what he wants to do, I'm not just going to say just go to college. Just for example, because I see like who are in computer science. It's like, well, imagine if you went and got a few certifications for specific coding languages. Maybe you learn some computer tech type of certification. You go work in that field, and then you go to college while working. When you get out of college, when you graduate, they're going to see, okay, not only do you have a degree, but you also have experience, and you have certifications, and you're more likely to stand out. So I'm starting to think, like, for this next generation, the advice that I would give is, figure out, how do you connect the dots between the education and the job, and how can you actually get experience before you actually try to apply for that main job, something that would supplement that.
Yeah. And like we said, a lot of times experience really helps out a lot. And I know a lot of people who actually went the education route. And yes, they are working in the field that they got their degree for, but now they're like in major debt because college is not cheap.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's why, like in California, because they've seen like the debt that people are getting into, junior colleges now are offering 2 years free tuition if you go to junior college first and then transfer over to a university.
Jerry Hill mentioned there's high school programs too now.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like collegiate high schools or something like that.
Yes, where you could take college credits while there. And then also if you have like AP classes, then that's towards your college.
I was talking about like, I know my school district had this, but it was just like once you were entering into your junior year of high school, like you would go into like a collegiate high school, and it was just like 4 years of more school, but by the time you're out, you already get your associates and like a bunch of college credits. Yeah, but I heard like it's pretty expensive to get into, and you have to like have really really good grades. So.
Yeah. Okay, so before we continue, Nate, let's go to the second question. Our second thinking cap.
All right. Second question. What is the oldest university established in the United States? Is it E, Harvard, F, Yale, G, Columbia, or H, Stanford? Go ahead and drop your letters into the chat. And yeah, I'm getting a lot of good advice here in the chat. Like Don said, he never went into debt when he went to college. He paid out of pocket. He was a working student at the time because he didn't want to be in debt afterwards. There's a lot of people who are mentioning that. Try to avoid debt as much as possible because interest rates are like really high if it's a education debt.
Actually, my interest rate is pretty low. My interest rate right now is 3%.
If you can get that, yeah. But generally, it's not because like there's nothing for them to repo. They can't repo your degree.
Yeah, that's true. So let me ask you, why, Nate? Why did you decide to go to college?
It wasn't really much of my decision. I felt like I was following what everyone else wanted. Now, granted that the work that I do now that I enjoy wasn't my first choice. I wanted to actually work in like TV production. And I mean, I'm here now working TV production, so I guess I'm fulfilled in that way. But yeah, I mean, it was just that general wisdom like, well, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be destitute. So I need to get this degree.
See, for me, honestly, I think it was out of guilt because I had 3 older siblings who never went to college. And my parents were set on someone actually going to college. And so I kind of felt obligated towards them. Except now I told them, I go, fine, I will go to college, but I'm going to pick my degree. But like I said, since I took some time off by then, I thought, okay, maybe the law degree was just too much. So then I decided to go into business administration, which I did not like. And then so I ended up with communications in specializing in public relations, which I totally loved. And so with that, even if though I have a college degree, I'm not even using my degree. Seriously, like the job I have, I don't need a college degree with what I have. Now, it has helped because I think when people see you do have a college degree, they see that you're disciplined somehow.
Yeah.
But I think the reason I got this job was because I already had experience besides having my college degree.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in like the construction field that they're like my age, but they never went to college, but they're already like construction site team supervisors. I'm just like, why didn't I do this? Like they just did a lot of experienced work out or like right out of high school, and that's how they got like up here. So
yeah, and like what Jerry says, when pursuing certifications, be sure to check the demand in the job market, which is, yeah, that is definitely something you should look at, especially if you're not sure what you want to do, but you want to make money right away, because you can always go back to school later.
Exactly. Yes. So you both said you guys stayed home for college.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a choice or was that because that's what they told you to do?
Well, for me, it was a money thing. So it didn't make sense for me seeing that colleges would cost like 20 grand a year. And I was like, well, if I ask my parents, hey, can I have 20 grand? They're going to say no. And I'm looking at myself. I'm like, well, I don't have 20 grand. So this ain't happening. It never, ever crossed my mind to get a loan.
Yeah, same here. Like also my school was just like a 20-minute commute from my house. So I mean, I was just like, oh, okay, I like driving anyways. I have my license at the time. And then
See, I had colleges that were nearby. Like I said, if I stayed in Sacramento, I had 2 great universities I could have went to, which a lot of people were traveling like from out of town and out of state to attend those colleges. But I didn't want to stay home anymore. I wanted to see what was out there. And so I applied to colleges all over Southern California and not one up in Northern California, just because I knew that's where I wanted to live. And so yes, it was costly. I had to work the 2 jobs, but I think being able to experience doing things on your own really helps.
Well, like we were close knit, the youth in our church, there in Florida, and everyone kind of took the same career path. Everyone went to the same community college, and then if you wanted to, everyone would go to that same university. And when I say everyone, like I can't even think of one person that I grew up with that left for college. Everyone stayed home and stayed in town for college. And actually that was kind of fun because it's like, you know, all the friends that you grew up with, now you're in college, you got a little bit more freedom. So you know, lots of Xbox nights.
But and you know what, just going off of that, and I think that's why I left, because it's true, there was the same thing. We were very close-knit family, I mean, you know, friends of everyone that we grew up with, but the problem was they didn't really have aspirations. Their goal was to get married. Like they didn't even finish like the 2-year college that they went to. They didn't really look into going to university. Their whole thing was just to get married, have a family, get a job, and that was it. And so I I don't think I wanted that. I wanted to do something. And I think if I would have stayed in Sacramento, I don't think I would have gotten my college degree.
Yeah. I just stayed home just because like I was at the time I was like really shy. I was just like I don't want to meet new people. I'm just a chill guy, just a homebody.
And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Because I stayed home for like when I was in junior college. Because I did go to junior college first because my parents would not let me leave the house to go to university. That was just flat no. And so when I finally did get accepted to university, I said, well, I only got accepted to Southern California because I only applied to Southern California, right? I didn't say, well, you know, I didn't get into Sac State because I didn't apply to Sac State, kind of a thing. And so that was the only way I was able to go. But honestly, if I think college wasn't important to them, I don't think they would have let me leave anyway.
You know what's neat? The community college that I went to actually became a 4-year university after I left.
Oh.
So like I put it on my resume. I'm like, yeah, I went to 2 4-year universities. I didn't go to community college at all.
Yeah. So and you know, not everyone's meant for college. I do family who they were just not, they couldn't do well in school. But when they did the vocational thing, like I have a cousin who did pharmacy tech, and he's great, you know, but the thing was school wasn't his thing. And so I think like structured school is not made for everybody.
Right.
So that's, you know, that's something you have to take in consideration, because the last thing you want to do is, I've also had friends where they had went into nursing because that's what the parents wanted, and they did the whole nursing and they got their degree and they got into debt to do nursing, and now they're in cosmetology. That's what they choose to do.
Nursing is tough.
Yeah, I could never do nursing. anything to do with medicine, I'm just like, nah.
Because I had friends who were doing nursing and were just studying constantly. I was like, that looks really, really difficult. And I was a math major.
Yeah.
I was looking out, you know, the amount of work they had to put it into, because there was a lot of memorizing things.
Yeah.
Okay, so Josephine put something on the chat, which I totally agree with what she says, that people need to learn work ethic and common sense, because so many people she works with has masters and PhD, but no work ethic and no common sense. And that is so true, because common sense, it does not matter what kind of job you have. You just need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And professionality, like not hitting reply all to the entire company.
And like actually knowing how to write emails professionally.
Yeah.
That's
that is. Oh, and then Mylene said she was an international student, so she became independent being away from my family. And honestly, I have to agree with her on that, because I did learn a lot being on my own. I mean, when we were home, we had to do all the chores that we normally did, which I thought was useless. Then when you're on your own,
like,
yeah, you have to know how to do laundry. You have to know how to cook. So I think, you know, I think I had the best of both worlds, where I was home at first, but then going away really helped out.
Yeah, I need to learn how to cook more. I just know how to cook steak, ramen, spam. That's all you need.
The essentials.
Yeah, that is all you need.
See, but you know what? If you would have went away to college, that's what you would have been eating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like the same thing.
That's the beauty of meat. Like when you cook it, you just cook it until it looks like you're ready to eat it. As long as it's not, you know, chicken and it's still pink.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to be a poor college student, because like I said, 2 jobs plus going to school and all that. You know, you have to do what you got to do, right?
Ramen is such a lifesaver, man. I watched a video of how it was made. I'm like, thank you.
It's although that's rough on your body because the 4 years of college eating junk food, like it's the reason why I no longer have a gallbladder.
That's true. And people said you shouldn't be eating that stuff anyway. So anyways, we are running out of time. I'm not used to this 30-minute thing.
Yeah, we're down to 30 minutes, unfortunately.
So yes, we are out of time. Nate, any last words you'd like to, any shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, some last words. So just thinking of what I'm gonna advise my son. It's really think about how to, get to where you want to get going. The work ethic is definitely gonna be it. Don't assume that because I go to this 4-year school, I'm going to come out like smart and productive in society. It's once you're in college, it's really going to be more on how much you're going to invest your time and effort in educating yourself, really. That's
true. And I think also it's great to be book smart, but you need the street smarts also to be able to survive because, it's not like once you get a job, that's it. You're fighting to keep that job and you're trying to fight your way from the younger people who's trying to come in and take your job. So I think, having street smart and the book smart is kind of important.
Okay. Any final advice you like to give? And we're also going to do the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Nothing really. It's just what's it called? Just again, that book smart versus street smart. You definitely need to know how to be street smart, just not book smart. Like that's like 99% of the time in college, you're just becoming book smart. So
very good. All right. So now we have our leaderboard right now for our thinking cap. Renz is in the lead. So hopefully he did our quizzes so that he can stay in the lead.
I did not see him.
I know. So you guys all have a chance.
Yeah, everyone has a chance to catch up. There's a big chunk of 3s there.
So y'all need to catch up. And so we're only down to 2 thinking caps only because we had to cut our time short. And so we can no longer do 3. But we just, participate, join us in our chat, subscribe, tune in every Saturday. Any shout outs you'd like to give, Justin?
Just shout out to my family. I appreciate the effort you made into making me go to college, but
and to paying for your college.
Yeah, to paying for it. So, shout out to my friends as well for going to college with me.
Okay, Nate, shout outs.
Shout out to my son who's doing really, really well in middle school. He's got a way to go.
He's a smart kid. Mm-hmm. I want to shout out my nephew because as you see, I'm supporting my college. And so this was
someone's calling.
Oh, so my nephew bought me my Cal State Fullerton because I couldn't afford it when I was in college. So thank you to my nephew, Riley.
I refuse to give any more money to the college. They took it all in parking
I know.
fines.
Well, that's true.
They got all the money they needed out of me.
That's right. And so before we end, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you have any suggestions for our upcoming shows, please let us know because we're running out of ideas. And of course, we always want to thank our CFO coordinator and SEBC president, Brother Angelo Irano Manalo, and our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Thank you all for joining. See y'all next week.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.